children who had mixed ancestry parents were fully welcomed into these communities. And this was something that was hard for whites to understand, that somebody from a very complex, racially mixed background could be fully Indian. That was a really hard concept for scholars.
You know, so like I said, this whole spectrum is very, very deep. Wata Flacka was just not the person to elaborate this out. And that's the problem. You know, they get a little bit of knowledge, they hear a little bit of this and that, and so many people in their ear, then they think they can regurgitate all the stuff that they heard from this person or that person, so that way they can seem more deep and more woke, and it always ends up in disaster.
What I really meant to say was, I'm not a Native American, I'm an American Native. It's a big difference. Like, it's a big difference. I'm a human fucking being. You know what I'm saying? So for people to chastise me, say, yo, nigga say he ain't black, he ain't white, but he want to be European. How? I just said I got European in me, I got Native American in me. Got a little of that, so why should I connect to one thing? Why should I connect to everything? Or why should I just not let it go and learn the truth? And that's what I wanted to do. I want to let all that shit go. Don't call me white, don't call me European, don't call me none of that shit, nigga. I'm a Native American, I'm from a tribe.
You know, he's starting to sound like one of those crazy ass hood boogers who just sit on the corner all day, you know, talking about how woke they are and how they're sovereign and all this shit. I really think that what he's trying to say by clearing up his statement, what he meant basically is that he feels like he's a Native American, meaning his roots are native to America and not Africa.
Turtle Gang, been seeing you for quite some time. I have never met somebody who has... You're one of the most adamant brothers I've seen on the scenes when it comes to telling what we call black people that they are indigenous to this country.
There's a section of the population that claims that black folks were here before the Native Americans and that white people let them out of the history books. So I feel like that's where Waka is going with all of this. He's just not articulate enough to state what he meant, and now he's trying to backtrack.
There's a lot of misconceptions flowing around. I see you, when I was on Facebook, I seen you post a lot. I know you have a bloodline that you share that you could actually prove. You have history that you could actually prove. Tell the people that are totally fucking confused by all the talk going on in the black community about you're African, no you're Asian, no you're the real Indians, no you're this now. Fuck it, we came from everywhere. People like, I don't know what to think anymore. Turtle Gang, just tell the people, clear up some confusion for them, because I know you're real adamant about that.
I remember I ran across this interview a year or so ago, and it's of this black guy. Well, he looks black, but he says he's Native, and he's basically talking about his family lineage. And he was dropping a lot of knowledge, and I feel like maybe Waka ran across this video too, I don't know. But I feel like this is what Waka was trying to say. But again, that's the problem when you're trying to be fake deep and you're trying to, you know, get on a radio station and talk about all this knowledge that you're hearing secondhand, as opposed to really doing your own research and investigating and finding out your own family heritage. Look at the difference on how Wata Flacka spoke on that interview versus how this young man speaks and breaks it down with why he believes he's a Native American. Check this out.
Everybody on this planet is a descendant of a tribe. Whether you know it or not, you descend from a tribe. Now, all these tribes have their history. A lot of us have been written out of history, and it's called paper genocide. Laws were passed starting in 1700s, 1800s, but the final law that was passed was called the Racial Integrity Act, which was passed in 1924. This act changed people it took your nationality away from you and reduced you to a racial category.
Niggas is from tribes. Like, if you, everybody say, yo, I'm from Africa. When you go to Africa, though, they connected to tribes. They're not saying, yo, I'm this. No, I'm from this tribe. Like this is how deep my tribe go. We run through these countries, and that's real, you know what I'm saying? But we don't approach shit like that. So if you can't connect to a tribe, you can't connect to herbs and minerals. It's a difference, you know what I'm saying? You can't control, you can't connect to what got us grounded.
And the land he owned, my family owned, is what you would call the Jersey Shore. Now, anybody who knows anything about real estate knows what the Jersey Shore is worth. That beachfront property, all that shit. Like, everyone in my family should be trust fund babies. We should be shitting on Paris Hilton and all that. You understand? But that land was stolen from us because of the identity that we assumed. And by assuming this identity, we lost all our rights as the...
Elaborate, assume, what identity did y'all assume?
We assumed the identity, first it was free people of color, right? From free people of color, it became colored. From colored, it became black. From black, it became Negro. See what I'm saying? Now, the inheritance was left to the people. So, as a Negro, I'm entitled to none of this shit. As lenape, so rather than kill us all off, they just gonna re-educate us. This is why our grandmothers tell us, "Oh no, baby, we got Cherokee in us," right? Every one of our grandparents.
Everybody's grandparents said that back in the day. Everybody. Yeah.
But education taught us, oh, they trying to be something they not.
We did. We thought it was a joke. Like, man, get the fuck out of here. We ain't know. Like,
yeah, ain't that?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
It actually woke me up, letting me know who's what. So yeah, niggas like, oh, you ain't black. You're like, yeah, that nigga sleep. Yeah, like, I know what you're talking about. Fuck, boom. He knows what's going on. Let's get over here.
It's really sad that when a lot of these celebrities, you know, get to travel outside of the hood and they get to jet set and see new things, the first thing they want to do is kind of shy away or distance themselves from their blackness. I think what he was initially trying to say, but it came out wrong, is that he's a black person who's native to America.
We still here. We never left.
Because of all the thousands of people that I've met over my years, conversations with people that look like African American people. And when you really get down to the nit and the grit of it and ask them, what's your ancestry? Oh, my grandma was a Cherokee, or my great-great-grandfather was, I think he was a Seminole. And because of the stolen heritage of American Indians with black blood and black people with Indian blood, I felt that it was time that black folks with Indian blood and Indian folks with black blood were able to come together as a people and not feel ridiculed, marginalized, or subjugated because they stood up and told the world who they are.
Come out your shells, turtles. The world's waiting.
You guys notice the difference between when that man spoke about his heritage. You can tell that he's well-researched, well-read. He has a connection to not only his Indian culture, but his lineage. And he's just very, very articulate. He broke it down in the best way that he could. So when he talks, to me, he doesn't come off as self-hating or trying to distance himself from his black phenotype, okay? When Wata Flacka spoke, it didn't come off as genuine. It didn't come off as researched. It didn't come off, you know, as anything other than him trying to sound fake deep, fake woke. And that's the difference. And that's why a lot of people are not taking him seriously. And also the other young gentleman who spoke about his Indian heritage, not one time did he disrespect black people, African people. You know, he didn't say, I'm not black. He didn't, you know, denounce African culture. He didn't do any of that. But Wata Flacka was so quick to say, even today in his post, I'm not black. I don't have any African in me. You know, so I just kind of feel like that was kind of a slap in the face. Even if you want to acknowledge your Native American side or say that you're one of those black people who got help from one of those native tribes, that's fine. But again, when Wata Flacka speaks, it doesn't sound well researched. It doesn't sound like he really investigated any of this. It just sounds like he's just trying to be fake deep. And that's the vibe that I got. And I think that's why a lot of people were annoyed. You know what I'm saying? You can love yourself and embrace all aspects of yourself without denouncing or disrespecting other aspects of yourself. And clearly when you look at Wata Flacka, he clearly has black and Africanoid features, okay? Let's keep it all the way 100. He can scream that he's Native and European all he wants to, but when you look at him, and I'm sure when the police look at him, they see nothing more than a black man.
A new discovery, which has not yet been published. It relates directly to the black communities across America. But before I tell you about that, people will say, well, big deal, so what? Why is history important at all? History is extremely important. Imagine if I could take from each one of you as an individual everything you knew about your life up to last week and just erase it. Where would you be? You'd be lost. You'd be incompetent. You wouldn't know how to plan for the future. And you do the same thing with a people. If you erase their history or you don't tell enough about their past, they also become incompetent and they can't fulfill the future. And that's why a lot of people in the black community have felt, well, how come all the dreams of the civil rights movement aren't yet fulfilled? And one reason is because this history is still suppressed.